I'm a music theater nerd. It's kind of what I do to earn an actual living. Shockingly, having 170 some odd subscribers on YouTube doesn't pay the bills. So this movie was kind of aimed at me. So take that into consideration with this review. I'm John Stark from MacandMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Theater Camp. So click that subscribe button so that you can come back when I review other films. Because obviously, why wouldn't you want to come back? Why wouldn't you want more of this loveliness right here? Theater Camp is available currently on Hulu. It does not have audio description, which is sad and unfortunate. Unfortunately, the film itself does have audio description, so this is a Hulu problem. And what's probably going to happen here is it's probably going to be the Chevalier thing, where like there's a guy at Hulu who's just like, we'll call him Fred. Fred's sitting at his desk, and he's the guy. He's in charge of making sure accessibility. But Fred also, he does a massive amount of cocaine over the weekend, and he's gone. He just like passes out, and then he kind of wakes up in like a drunken stupor, and he's like, shit, did Theater Camp get posted? Oh, fuck, I was supposed to get the audio description on there. Damn it. Oh, stupid Fred. Oh, I gotta stop doing opioids. I'm surprised they let me do them at Hulu. Anyway. And that's why it never happens at launch. Why Hulu just kind of casually drops films and they're like, did we find the accessibility? Nah, Fred's on it, but you know Fred, right? I mean, I think he's passed out in his own vomit in the company bathroom, so he'll get to it when he gets to it. It's not really, they're blind people. They don't really count. They're not really important. 2-3 weeks later, whatever, they'll find it when they find. Are we gonna announce it? Nah, it'll get there when it gets there. So don't worry about it. Fred's on it. Anyway, so yeah, because I reviewed Chevalier like a responsible person when the film dropped on Hulu, and then like a couple days later, I found, or like a week later or whatever, I found out that Chevalier had audio description. I was like, no, it doesn't. Fuck you. Lo and behold, it does. So who knows? Maybe one day you'll be watching this review and you'll be like, wait a minute, this does have audio description. So I have no idea. Hulu is weird. And the fact that Disney and Hulu are about to fully become one, it feels like, I don't know, Disney is merging with like RJ Reynolds. Like they're two things that just don't go together. Disney is much better about accessibility and making sure it's available at launch, and Hulu's just like, I don't know, we give that one season of it available, maybe some episodes, we'll get it when we get to it. They drop like Reservation Dogs and it takes 6 months to write audio description for it. So it's just, whatever. So Hulu's just like, leave us alone. So Theater Camp, which does have audio description available if you wanted to rent it. It's so easy for me to look at iTunes. Yeah, on iTunes, if you want to rent it or buy it, it has audio description. But I shouldn't have to pay for a movie that's on a streaming service I'm paying for. That's kind of the battle I'm fighting here, is how many times am I supposed to pay for the same movie, when I already have access to it. So, yeah. If you want to pop on over there, if you're really concerned about audio description, which you probably should be, there definitely are some things about Theater Camp that would require audio description. But this is a movie that was at Sundance, got picked up by Fox Searchlight and was released over the summer, and now it's on Hulu. That's how it got here. It also started out as a short film, and then was turned into a movie. And it feels like something that started out as a short film and was turned into a movie. And the film's three leads, Noah Galvin, Molly Gordon, and Ben Platt, are all credited as screenwriters. They're 3 of the 4 credited screenwriters. And Molly Gordon is the director of this film. She also stars. So, kind of gives you an idea that it feels like three buddies got together and they were like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? Wouldn't this be cool? We should do this. This would be cool too. We should do, oh my God, what if we had this scene where we did this? And it does actually feel like that. It kind of feels like a collection of ideas that might have worked better if somebody had picked up theater camp as a TV series, so they could explore a different theme or an idea with each episode. You know, you pick it up as a half-hour sitcom, sort of like maybe the Office, especially if it's a half-hour sitcom meant for network TV, so it has commercials, so it's actually like 22 minutes instead of 30. I feel like this would work so much better in like short form formats, just like blips of here's the idea, here's a little idea, here's how this interaction happens. The cohesive plot from start to finish, I was like, eh. So we open up at the beginning of the film, and they're putting on a nice big production of Bye Bye Birdie, and the camp's trusty leader, Amy Sedaris, she just like keels over during the production. Amy Sedaris is now playing characters who are old enough to keel over, first of all, and second of all, old enough to have a son as old as Jimmy Tatro. So it's really starting to feel old. I remember her from Strangers with Candy days, and now I'm like, oh my god, is she that old now? Are we at that point? Anyway, so she ends up in a coma, or as Jimmy keeps pronouncing it, a comma, which is hilarious. I don't even know if that's intentional or just the way Jimmy, just his voice sounds when he pronounces coma. But yes, so Jimmy Tatro's her son, and he ends up taking over this theater camp. Now, she was really passionate about the theater camp, and it was her, her main love in life. And she, of course, has camp counselors there who are quite very stereotypical of music theater. They feel a little bit like there's some truth in them, but there's also a lot of like, this is how we view theater people from non-theater people's perspective. So like, you can laugh at theater people, but also the music theater people in the audience will get the jokes. Like, there are certain things where I thought they were funny, and there were certain things where I felt like it was the kind of joke that somebody would make if they didn't understand what music theater was. It's a mix. And then there's also Jimmy Tatro, whose character is completely out of his element. And that fish out of water just keeps bringing him into sequences where he has the opportunity to land a good joke. Not all of them work because some of them are with audio description, so I didn't quite find them all as funny. He has there's sort of a running gag with the technical director just kind of being in areas like, and people just don't seem to know that the TD is there, and but I don't know how well hidden he is, so it just kind of makes it like, I don't get this joke, because was he like hiding behind a curtain or inside of a box, or is he just really short and people don't see him? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, I don't understand. Where was he? You know, why is it that people don't see him and they just kind of start conversations, and then he's just like, oh, I'm here. So that's why like audio description kind of is important here. They're also, I'm aware of the fact that there are textual interstitials. We'll go with that. I like that phrase. That where text pops up on the screen randomly throughout the film, but I have no idea what it said. So I just know because I've talked to people who have seen theater camp. So I don't know what they say though. I didn't have one with me. I forgot to bring my seeing eye human to to theater camp, so they could talk to me while the movie goes on. Because I guess that's what I think studios assume we have, is that we just have like a human that is willing to. They're putting that burden on our friends and family to like tell us what's going on, like live audio description, but that doesn't really work. And they shouldn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like you're hampering their ability to enjoy the movie, because then they're worried about our ability to enjoy the movie. It's so much easier for us to just sit down with audio description and just watch the film, and then they can watch the film and just enjoy it from their perspective. You know, this is not hard, and the fact that this is Fox, and Fox is owned by Disney, and Hulu is trying to be owned by Disney, and this didn't get audio description upon release at Hulu is baffling. But it just goes to the culture of Hulu and how little they actually care about blind people. And just the you know, I mean, either you go the extra mile or you don't. You know, be our guest, let our service. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either do it or you don't. And for theater camp, was I able to enjoy it? Of course I was. I'm a music theater nerd. I was sitting there and just enjoying trying to figure out all of the different audition songs that all the little kids were doing in the audition segment. Like, that was really interesting to me. But it was interesting to me because I'm a music theater nerd. So I was sitting there going, oh, that song. Oh, that's cool. You know, I really like the kids' voices. These are things that not normal film critics are going to talk about in their reviews, because they don't approach it from the, you know, I'm just a couple weeks out from having sat behind a casting table of a musical that I'm now currently an assistant director for. So those very conversations where they later had, where they were talking about like who they wanted to cast in which role, I literally just had that like a couple weeks ago. So for me, this was like very surreal. But for other people, I don't know that it will be. So even without audio description, yeah, this film was oddly specific and special in a very weird way. So I had this, like, that's why I opened with, by the way, if you don't know this about me, this is what I do. I work in live theater, and I work with musicals, and I work with kids and young adults in musicals. And so this was very targeted at me. That being said, I still feel like it was like a series of sketches and ideas, and some of it worked and some of it didn't. I really loved, I thought the funniest sketch in the movie has to do with stage combat. I thought that was a great scene. But that was the scene I laughed the hardest in. The rest of it is just kind of like, I've seen Jimmy Tatro get a lot of love for his role here, and I guess people have never seen Jimmy Tatro before because I used to follow him on Vine, and he's doing the same thing he's always done. It's just, it's funny, and they figured out that he works here. But there is very little difference between the role he plays here and Connor on Home Economics. Like, he's a finance bro on Home Economics, and guess what he is here? He's a finance bro in theater camp. Stop giving him a standing ovation for doing the exact same thing. It's not, they were like, we wrote a finance bro. Who should we get? Oh, you know who'd be perfect for that? Jimmy Tatra. Like, it's, I don't know that he's necessarily, you know, we don't need to start that Oscar campaign just yet. When Jimmy starts breaking out of his mold, when he plays the son in a drama, when he gets his like one true thing on, like Renee Zellweger with Meryl Streep, then we'll talk. And he's just, you know, dramatically caring for somebody with cancer and not worried at all about the stock market or how to balance his checkbook, then we'll come around to the conversation about how good of an actor Jimmy is. But he's funny, I enjoy him, but That's the same performance he's doing on. It's the same character he does on Home Economics. Stop giving him a standing ovation for this film. Um, this movie's fine. A lot of people compare it to Camp, which was the film that helped to launch Anna Kendrick. And, you know, honestly, they're two different films. This film feels more like a Wet Hot American Summer to me because it focuses a lot on the counselors. It's not as provocative as Wet Hot American Summer was. It's not as groundbreaking or you know, just pushing ideas and themes at the time and edgy and as when Wet Hot American Summer first came out. So yeah, but that's kind of where my mind went. Camp was more about the kids and less about the counselors. This is more about the counselors and less about the kids. So not that the kids don't pop up and feature, but the kids also popped up and featured also in Wet Hot American Summer, but they weren't the stars. But the casting department here, whoever picked these kids, whoever found these kids, they're all like amazingly talented, which is amazing. I just said amazing twice, like that bothers the hell out of me. But they're really good, and it just goes to show the idea behind this camp is to attract really talented youth and give them a place for the summer. There's one hilarious scene where Jimmy's trying to contribute something and Ben Platt yells at him, and he's like, "This place is for people who don't have a place, so this place is not for people like you." So he's like, this is for people who have been excluded for things, and we're excluding you from the exclusions. It's just like, this line is really well written, but it's a string of ideas. So you'll like some of it, you won't like all of it. Sometimes you'll laugh, sometimes you won't. It depends kind of on, do you get the reference? Do you get what they're trying to say? Do you get what the scene means? Is it funny to you? Is it not funny to you? I don't know. I don't think this is a broad comedy that's necessarily for everybody. So I think my grade sort of reflects how I feel about music theater. And yeah, I am going to grade it. I'm going to grade it because first of all, it spoke to me on a very unique level, and I enjoyed things that I don't think people would normally enjoy. I think a lot of film critics sit down and they're going to talk about, well, I loved the camera angles and the cinematography, and I'm sitting here going, who was that girl that did the second on? She had a really good voice. I love the boy who was doing Defying Gravity. He just stopped and he's like, "You're not gonna stop my last note," and he just does it anyway. He does the like thing at the end of Defying Gravity. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I enjoyed really specific nerdy things about my music theater nerd came out for this film, so it showed up, which is why this film's gonna get a grade. Plus, I think like Hulu's gonna drop audio description for this. I don't know, at some point. And it also is available on other platforms with audio description if you want. I just wish I could have reviewed that audio description and talked about it, but you know, I'm sorry that I saw the movie when it came out, like you wanted me to, like most critics do. Obviously I'm more of a home streaming critic and less of a, it's out in theaters. Mainly because I don't want to screw around with theater devices that don't work and have to get up and down 3 times to get a new device that finally works. Yeah, so theater camp it's fine. It's fine. I don't know why it's in the Oscar conversation, but that's a completely different conversation for another day. I'm going to give theater camp a B. Yeah, it's also probably skewed. Depending on how much you enjoy music theater, that B could fluctuate for you. But yeah, it's good. I'd give it a fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. If I was RT approved, which I may never be, but they need to approve some blind film critics because we're people too. We exist, and I'm slowly trying to find more. I enjoy being a unicorn, but I'm sure there are a couple more out there. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And please, if you haven't subscribed, click subscribe, because I'm really trying to move the needle on audio description. And these companies are not really doing their part. And the only way that they're going to care is if I add some zeros to my subscriber count. They're not really threatened by somebody with 174 subscribers. So let's go. Let's get it on. Moving up the ranks. I also have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the Audio Description Project, adp.acb.org, where you can see what does have audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who is narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will review something else for you guys and see you on the other side.